always says.
So,
Well, I kind of did introduce you, so next on the agenda.
all right, and here I am, back again, by popular demand, to talk about the Machan school bus. Machan walking school bus. I think it's important to put on the table a little bit about why we re-energized the implementation of walking school bus. And I say that because we did begin to practice with walking school buses about 2 years ago within our then relatively small attendance area. If you're familiar with Machan's attendance area, our small area between Virginia and McDowell, just to the Excelencia line and 22nd Street and the freeway, we had a couple of groups starting up with walking school buses there, and it lasted as long as parents wanted to sustain it, and it was kind of cool and kind of novel to bring this idea of families working together to get their kids to school in a way that was mutually beneficial, and so we liked it, and it came from back then. Obviously, things have changed, and the economic realities and concerns within our neighborhood have brought us to a point where walking school bus went from a novel curiosity and fun idea to an absolute necessity to provide for some things that our community really needed. And you're all very familiar, intimately familiar with the budget challenges and the economic challenges facing our district that led to the changes in transportation plan. And as we began to change and implement that transportation plan for our school, for our district and for our school in particular, we knew that the parents would have concerns and they would have challenges. And so the challenges that parents have expressed and continue to express have to do with, and I think we're all thinking about these things, so it is important to say, they worry about criminal activity in the neighborhood. They worry about things like drugs and drug paraphernalia that their children might encounter on the way to school or on the way home. Dangerous objects such as broken glass or other things. Stray animals, stray dogs are not uncommon in our attendance area. Heavy traffic, we have a combination of very narrow neighborhood streets and a couple really busy ones that run parallel to the freeway. Those concern our parents. Distance and heat are concerns, parent work schedules, pedestrian and auto traffic, as well as liability issues. Specifically with walking school bus, parents get concerned about being responsible for or in charge of other people's kids. So we knew all that was bubbling under the surface and began to come out when we started informing our parents and families about the change in the transportation plan. So it was important for us as a school and as a school district to send a critical message. And I offer this because it underlies the value of walking school bus beyond just being a way to get kids to school and back home again. That critical message is that we, Creighton District, we at Machan School value you and your children. Just because we're not sending a bus to the nearest corner doesn't mean we do not value you. And we will do everything we can to provide you with the best education possible. Bottom line. And I jokingly say this with the parents, but I really mean it, and I mean it with the staff. We talk about it. Our whole job this year has been to make Machan worth the walk. So if you could walk to Whittier, which is just on this other side of 16th Street, or you could walk somewhere else, you would, even if it's close, you wouldn't want to, because Machan is worth the walk. It's worth the effort it takes to get your kids to school, and that's like a really key message for us within our community right now. We also want our parents to know that we believe in them and their ability to provide for their children. Nobody wants to be condescended to. And transportation is certainly not a condescension, but flipping this around just a little bit and looking at it and saying, we know you love your kids, we know you want them to get to school. And that's a very different kind of way of looking at sometimes how we provide things for our parents. We sometimes think they just can't, or they won't, or they don't know how. But, they do. They survive, and they actually do really, really well very, very often. So this is a way to say that, we know you can do this. And we understand you want your kids to be safe. We understand that you want to be safe not only on your route to and from school, but within your neighborhood. And we at Creighton District and at Machan School are creative, and we believe in parent and family empowerment, and we are going to provide you with options and solutions when challenges occur. So if I didn't believe all these things were true, I couldn't stand in front of 150 parents and talk about what it's going to be like when there's no bus. But these are all true things for parents, kids at Machan, and within our district. And it changed the dialogue a little bit. So what Walking School Bus does is it creates a network that helps communities deal with all those challenges that I listed on the first slide. Okay, so if you're out of your car or you're out of a bus, you're walking from your front door to Machan School or wherever you go, you experience that environment differently, right? You see it, you hear it, you smell it, you engage with it differently. And the network sort of that emerges around Walking School Bus is an opportunity to engage in what that experience is for people. What do you see? What do you smell? What do you want to see? What do you want to smell? Instead of maybe what you do at the current time. Then within that network, people can work together, parents, community members, neighborhood association, the city, the police department, and our school personnel to create a safer place, not only for kids to walk to and from school, but a safer place for families, period. A safer place to be, to raise your kids, to learn, to go to the park, to do whatever you want without fear. So the Walking School Bus really is more than a vehicle to get kids to and from. It is a way to build community. And again, true statement, difficult to achieve, but a lofty goal. So our objective with our Walking School Bus program is to provide an alternative transportation option to parents and students that is safe, supervised, supportive of physical fitness, and that builds unity within the neighborhood by getting people out and about and getting them to know one another. And people, sometimes when they talk to me, they think, well, that's one way to look at it, but that's not very realistic. But it is. I really believe that this is possible.
And so do you have ways to measure those objectives?
Well, I'm working on it. But measurements that we currently use are participation, numbers of students participating, and numbers of parents participating. We also can use crime statistics from within the neighborhood. We can use frequencies of things like the numbers of times parents get together to engage in a process to improve their community.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be great to see that it actually makes the neighborhood safer.
Well, for example, I can give you one statistic that we're working on right now. Our walking route, two of them go over the bridge, over the freeway, and that's pretty much the whole flashpoint of the issue, kind of. And the parents always worry about the safety on that bridge. Things the kids will see, dangerous objects, graffiti, homeless people, whatever. We've created that network from the city of Phoenix, a gentleman named Don Cross, who we've probably encountered a time or two, and the city of Phoenix Police Department, a structure that allows our crossing guards to check that bridge for safety every day and make reports to a hotline. And then also engages in a weekly cleanup of that bridge. So something that we can very easily count is the number of occurrences of visible graffiti or something dangerous, and then use the decrease in those occurrences to measure a real change for the community, and it's something that they pay attention to. So that's one thing that's absolutely real and very authentic to this process. And I would consider it a huge measure of success, in addition to participation and perceptions about what's going on. Of course, I think, can all appreciate the benefits of physical fitness. Getting kids up and moving, there is research that comes from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention that supports, if you get any kind of physical activity in the life of a child, they're going to be more inclined to engage in other types of physical fitness. I'm really proud of Machan's athletic teams. Tonight we won football and volleyball. I believe this is part of it.
Oh, Eric.
There are also some additional benefits to being physically active. All of these certainly could be measured. we don't really have the infrastructure to measure their bone density and joint flexibility, but we can work on that too. The key components of our walking school bus right now have been to really get it off the ground as quickly as possible, but to do it well. So our implementation is small, and I have the numbers which I'll share, but it's more important right now to do an effective implementation than to do a big implementation, because you can scale it up if it starts working, but if it fails from the get-go, nobody's going to like this thing. So we're trying to make it work in a way that is logical and sustainable. So we set up informational meetings. I'll share the dates with you shortly. We had to prepare program materials. We were fortunate we didn't have to start from scratch. The City of Phoenix has a Safe Routes to School program and an office that provides some materials that require heavy customization, but you're not starting from scratch. We had to develop training materials for volunteers, which we did. A lot of this happened during the summer. Then we had to set up the routes based on students.